I remember this night like it was yesterday, even though I'm 26 now, and it happened when I was just 12 years old. My parents had left for the night, leaving me at home with my 18-year-old brother, Zach. At first, the idea of having the whole house to myself felt like total freedom. Zach announced he was heading out for a few hours with some friends. He made me promise not to tell Mom and Dad, and I eagerly agreed. I was just excited to be the king of the castle, even if just for a little while. I settled into the den, flicked on the TV, and found a scary movie. Looking back, this was a terrible, terrible idea. About halfway through the film, a different kind of fear started to creep in. It wasn't the movie that was scaring me anymore. It was the house itself. Every creak of the floorboards, every gust of wind brushing against the windows, the sudden click of the refrigerator turning on it, all sounded amplified in the empty house. Each loud noise from the movie made me jump and whip my head around, half expecting to see a shadowy figure standing at the bottom of the stairs. My heart was pounding. The movie monster was one thing, but the sounds of my own home turning against me was another. I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed the power button on the remote, plunging the room into silence, which was somehow even more terrifying. In a panic, I sprinted upstairs to my room, feeling like a little kid running from imaginary demons nipping at my heels. I locked my door, even though it was a flimsy lock that wouldn't stop anyone who really wanted to get in. I tried to get ready for bed, hoping the routine would calm me down. I brushed my teeth in the bathroom that connected my room to my parents' bedroom, my eyes darting at every shadow. Back in my room, I figured the best way to distract myself was with video games. I fired up my Xbox and started playing Call of Duty Zombies. The digital growls of the zombies were a welcome replacement for the unsettling silence of the house. I lost myself in the game, fighting off wave after wave, the hours just melting away. Eventually, my eyes grew heavy, and I decided to call it a night. I crawled into bed, exhausted but feeling a little safer. The night was almost over. Not long after my head hit the pillow, I heard the faint sound of the front door closing. I figured it had to be Zach, finally home from his night out. I lay there, listening, waiting to hear his familiar heavy steps on the stairs. But the sounds from downstairs were wrong. They were too quiet, too subtle. Soft footsteps, followed by muffled thuds that seemed to go on for far too long. A cold knot formed in my stomach. This didn't sound like my brother. I crept out of bed and went to my window, peering down into the dark driveway. I was looking for Zach's beat-up sedan, but it wasn't there. The space was empty. Panic, real and immediate, washed over me. I was 12. I didn't have a cell phone. The only phone in the house was downstairs, and I had no way to call for help without leaving the relative safety of my room. My mind raced. What do I do? Who was in my house? I tiptoed to my bedroom door and listened, my ear pressed against the wood. Silence. I double-checked the lock, knowing full well it was more of a suggestion than a real barrier. I looked around my room, desperately searching for a safe place to hide. My eyes landed on the small, crawling closet built into the wall. It was my only option. I squeezed my small frame inside, pulling the door shut behind me as gently as I could, plunging myself into darkness. I sat there, knees to my chest, trying to slow my breathing, trying to convince myself it was all in my head. Maybe it was Zach. Maybe he parked down the street for some reason. Seconds later, my blood ran cold. I heard fumbling at my bedroom doorknob. I clicked. The door creaked open, and someone was inside my room. I held my breath, trying to be completely silent, completely invisible. I could hear footsteps moving across the floor, the floorboards groaning under a stranger's weight. I heard the rustling of fabric, the sound of things being shifted around on my desk, on my dresser. Every second felt like an eternity. I was trapped, listening to an intruder explore my personal space, just feet away from my hiding spot. My heart was hammering against my ribs so hard I was sure they could hear it. Eventually, after what felt like a lifetime, the footsteps receded. The bedroom door closed with a soft click, but I didn't move. But I stayed huddled in that dark closet, paralyzed with fear, for what felt like hours. It was probably only 10 or 15 minutes, but time had lost all meaning. Finally, a voice cut through the silence of the house. "Hey, where are you?" It was Zach. My limbs were trembling, but I managed to push the closet door open and stumble out. The first thing he did was yell at me, "What are you doing in the closet? And what did you do to your room?" He was angry, confused, and that's when it hit me, the person in my room hadn't been him. We looked around together. My room was a mess. Drawers were pulled out, my new Xbox was gone, and other electronics were missing. We quickly checked the rest of the house. The scene was the same everywhere. It was clear someone had broken in and systematically stolen our valuables. Zach, his face pale, immediately called the police. Our parents rushed home around 4 a.m., their night cut short by the worst possible news. My dad was furious, reading Zach the riot act for leaving the house unlocked and me alone. My mom just wrapped me in a hug, her only concern being that I was safe. Zach ended up having to work for months to pay back the cost of the stolen items, but I was left with something else. Even now, all these years later, I can still feel the suffocating terror of hiding in that closet. I can still hear the sound of the floorboards creaking under a stranger's weight in my own bedroom. I can still feel the absolute certainty that I was about to be discovered. It was, without a doubt, the single most terrifying experience of my entire life. And it's a memory that has stayed with me, a chilling reminder of the night the monsters were real. Thanks for listening to my story. If you have a story that stayed with you, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more.